Hello everyone, my name is Yogesh Prakash Vanjari. I am the Assistant Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering of Godavari College of Engineering, Jalgaon. Today we are going to start the new course that is Electrical Vehicle, and this is the first video of the Electrical Vehicle course. In this first video, as you can see on this first slide, we are going to have introduction to electrical vehicle. So why we need this electrical vehicle, why we need to switch to the electrical vehicle, how the electrical vehicle are introduced, and what are the advancement going on, and what are the technologies that going to implement to have successful electrical vehicle on the road, that we are going to see in this course. In this video, we are having the contents, that is history of electrical vehicle, why we need to switch to the electrical vehicles. Then we will have basic classification of electrical vehicles, and at last what is the current scenario of the electrical vehicle. Now moving to the first slide, that is history of electrical vehicle. So basically the first electrical vehicle was developed by Robert Anderson and Thomas Parker in 1832. Then the first electric taxi introduced in Paris and New York at a time. So there is no specific date at which this taxi is introduced, but it is introduced simultaneously on the both places, that is Paris and New York. So in 1884, the Thomas Parker first electrical vehicle, you can see the model in this slide, and then 1982 Loner Pass P1 model is as designed. This is the first electrical model which is developed by Thomas. Then after 1892, the Ferdinand Porsche model you see in the last slide, that is developed by Loner Porsche Mix. It's a hybrid electric car. That was hybrid electric cars. Then in 1907, the Detroit Electric debuts in US, which introduced the basic model. You can see another some examples, that is Walter C. Baker's Torpedo. This is first vehicle, this is then second, and this 1902 Walter C. Baker's Torpedo, and then 1908 Henry's Fords, the Ford quadricycle. These are the quadricycle, means four wheels are there which is run on the gasoline. So it is another example of the hybrid vehicles. The first mass production was by Henry, and that started in 1908. Up to 1935, almost all electrical vehicles disappeared because there is an introduction of the IC engine vehicles, which was a great success. As you know, today we are also using the IC engine vehicles in a vast manner. So there is a suddenly collapse in the production of the electrical vehicles. But in 1963, in 1979, when there is a world war, there is a sudden crisis of oil. And at that time, we have to rethink of the options to the IC engine. And the thought process comes that we need to switch to the electrical vehicle again. So 1970, 1979 is the turning point, you can say, for electrical vehicle. Now these are all about the history. Now why we need to switch to the electric vehicle? So these are the appealing conditions or the current scenario in 31st century why we need to switch to the electric vehicle. So economics, society, policies and environment, these are the four factors which playing the key role, or these are the appealing conditions for the electric vehicle. So first is economic, that is rising oil prices, resource scarcity and international politics. If we consider society as an increasing traffic, urbanization and increasing population, policies, emission standards limiting CO2 emission and international policies that decided by the state government or central government or the government bodies of that particular country. Also, there is some international standards that we have to follow. Then environment. The remaining three factors, economic, society and policies, are, we can say, on one side and environment on the other side. Because we know the climate change, pollutant emission and global warming, this will not affect our money, but this will affect the whole earth, or we can say the global. So that is a very important factor in environment point of view. So now we will go a little bit into the deep of the each factor, that is economics. The first is the rising oil prices. As you know, today is the cost of a 1 liter petrol is cost 110 rupees now. And during this war between Ukraine and Russia are also going to raise this value with more than the 5 to 10 rupees. So you can see how the oil prices are rising, plus the vehicle cost is also cross 1 lakh rupees. So all these factors are hammering the economic of a consumer. Then resource scarcity. We know one day these all conventional energy sources are going to vanish, or they are going to have a huge scarcity as per the demand. And in, June 2008, the crude oil price was crossed USD 145.93 per barrel, 145.93 per barrel when the Tesla launches electric vehicle. However, due to corona pandemics, the barrel cost was little bit reduced. But now you can see the prices of the oil, petrol or diesel, all the fuels are on the upper side, or they will go on rising. So these are very important in point of view resource also. So we need to find out the option for these crude oils. And the best option is your electrical vehicle for current situation. Though there is options of the renewable energy sources, but the more effective way you can say your electric vehicle. International policies is another factor. There are various policies decided by the governing body of, you can say, the international organization, that we have to follow the norms. So that norms will also affect the your structure or design of your IC engine, and that is the vehicle. And that vehicle, of course, will give rise to the cost, and that will affect the consumers. The second factor is society, increasing traffic, urbanization, and increasing population. You can see in the slide the congested streets. Bengaluru is the world's most traffic congested city according to analysis of road traffic data. So Bengaluru having 71%, Mumbai have 65%, Pune is 59%, and Delhi has 56 congestion level. So in a year, a man or a human being lost 243 hours. That is 10 days, 3 hours in a traffic only. In Mumbai, every citizen, you can say, on an average, 8 days and 17 hours was spent in traffic. So all these days are just wasted of your life in the traffic, waiting for moving forward in the traffic. Of course, if traffic is increasing, the emission is increasing, and there is increase in pollution. Then another, why this traffic are increasing? Due to urbanization, due to development and the factors of the people moving towards the urban. So that is, space is not increasing, but the population is increasing in the urbanization, and due to this congestion, traffics and the number of vehicles are also increasing per year. Then increasing population. The percentage of population in urban and rural areas, you can see in this graph, were very much less in the urban, but nowadays you can see after 2018, the people moving towards the urban is go on increasing, and in that rural, that population is goes on decreasing. It is expected in 2050 your population in village will get reduced, and the population in the urban is will be more than your village. So you can imagine how much burden that one city can have in 2015, and in the same scenario how much the traffic is going to increase. So these are the three factors which are very important. So in case of population, in this year you can see we are going to cross China up to 2030. The way we are increasing our population, definitely it is expected that in 2030 we are going to cross the China, and we are going to become number one in the population. So these factors are very important to consider. Then appealing conditions. Policies, that is emission standard, limiting CO2, and international policies. What is the emission standard? Every country has its emission standard. That means the emission given by your vehicle, that percentage of the gases is decided by the government, or we can say the governing bodies in that particular country or a state. You all know we are following now Euro, then we are having your own emission, that is Bharat stage. Now we are in the phase of Bharat stage 6, that is in 2020 we have updated. In this year you can see the emission standard. In BS6 we are having CO2 emission, that is emission allowed through your vehicle, is 0.5. Hydrocarbon and nitrogen oxides 0.17, nitrogen oxides are 0.08, and PM, that is particulate matter, is only 0.045. So these are the factors which will be or which must be followed by the each vehicle. And to obtain this standard, every industry has to modify its engine so that the emission get reduced. But now the emissions are so, we can say, so thick or so difficult to achieve with the IC engine, that some stage will come that we are not able to have the IC engine design which will follow this standard. So this emission standard is only followed in very easy manner is by electrical vehicle. Then another second factor limiting CO2 emission. We know Earth is protected by the one ozone layer, and that ozone layer having a content of O3, that is oxygen. The way we are emitting the carbon, that carbon is reacting with the oxygen and forming the carbon oxide, that is carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, that reducing the thickness of that ozone. That ozone is trapping the cancer, that is ultraviolet rays, cancer causing rays that is coming from the sun. So to maintain the environmental balance and that ozone layer, we need to limit this CO2 emission. So by hook or crook, we need to limit this CO2 emission. Then third factor, that is international policies. The international policies, that whole almost 165 countries come together and they decide the norms that each country should follow at least minimum that norms and that percentage that was decided, and that international policy will be decided by that country which policies they are to follow, just like we are following the bar stage 4 in Europe country, they are following Euro 6. So that is another one of the important factor. This is Kyoto protocol which is signed in that meeting. And to promote the electrical vehicle, we are having the FAME India scheme too also. So government is also trying for this. Then moving to the next factor, that is environment. As I told you already, that three factors we have seen up to now is on the one side, and this environmental is on the other side. It is a very important. If we do not able to restrict the pollution, that will hammer our environmental balance, and that may cause your earth a very serious damage. So first environmental factor is your climate change. We know due to the emission, the temperature, average temperature of each country is goes on increasing. And due to this increase in temperature, the ice in the Antarctica or on the pole of the earth is now get converting into the water. And due to this, there is a chances of the events like tsunami. So that thing we have to take seriously to stop this climate change and increasing in the average temperature. You can see here in figure, this is the global land and ocean temperature index. Every year after a decade, you see this average temperature is going on increasing, which is very dangerous sign for us. Then second factor, pollutant emission. The way our vehicles are emitting pollution, that will have the effect on the earth, that is temperature, that is greenhouse gas emission. We already very much familiar with greenhouse gases, so I'm not going to deep into that, but we have to control this green gas house effects, and that is possible only by controlling the pollutant emission, and that will be very difficult to achieve this pollutant emission by using the IC engines vehicle. Then global warming, it is a huge issue, that is greenhouse gas and this climate change and this average temperature index. What they are causing? They are causing the global warming, and we know the global warming is causing the various severe climate extremities. So this climate risk, extreme events and related impacts, this slide will show, or this figure you can see, having effects like drought and floods and storms, then wildfires, then ocean coral bleaching and loss of oxygen, then intense tropical and economics impact, and extreme heat and deadly impacts on us. So these are the four factors which are very essential to consider, and they are giving us a hint that you need to stop these IC engine vehicles. One, you can stop complete use of that, or you can find a step by step optional to this IC engine. And the best way currently now, we are having the best option in the form of electrical vehicle. So now we will stop here. In the next part of the video, we will go for why or which factor we can get control by your electric vehicle, just like need of the hour we are having, then rise of the electrical vehicle in 21st century, how the vehicles are rising and how much vehicles are in the market now in the form of passengers vehicle, two wheelers, commercial and three wheelers. Then we will go for a thoroughly classification of the electrical vehicles and the key components of the electrical vehicles, how this electrical runs and which things are responsible to run these electric vehicles. So we will have this little bit introduction. So thank you very much. We will stop here and we will meet into the next video of this introduction of the electrical vehicle. Thank you very much.